I am a polytheist. I'm a pagan, and we don't proselytize. We don't try to convert other people. I mean, if they ask us about it, we'll tell them. But otherwise, we don't really do anything with regards to proselytizing or anything like that. I don't try to convince people that my God and goddess are real or anything like that.
Are you convinced your God and goddess are real?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I've attended many pagan ceremonies. I had a wedding that was sky-clad. I associated with a number of neo-pagans from Druids and Wiccans and so forth. And I remember doing a number of these celebrations and thinking, this is all beautiful. The ritual is rich and wonderful. But when they call to the various deities from the four corners or whatever to watch over the ceremony, I had to look at everybody in their ceremonial garb and whatnot and say, this is really lovely, but you don't really think that Odin or Ceres or whoever is actually watching, right?
Dave, do you?
Well, okay. Well, actually, yes, I do. But the difference between me and a Christian is the Christians worship their God. I don't. My God and goddess are my companions. They work with me. They help me to achieve my spells if I do one, which happens very rarely. And it's just, to have them as part of my life is a great thing. I enjoy it. I like it.
Okay. You said some really, really, really interesting things there. Number one, we're going to take spells and pop that on the back, but we're going to put a pin in spells. But I want to start by saying your companions and your friends, can I meet them?
To physically shake their hand or anything like that? No,
every companion and friend that I have had, I could introduce you to. And so unless you're going to redefine what companion and friend means, can I meet?
I have an old friend. I brought him up earlier in this episode. Mm-hmm. I have an old friend who worships Bast because she showed up at his house. Yeah. She appeared physically manifest.
But even your friend, if I were to ask, can I meet them?
Oh, of course not.
Can I meet your God?
All right, because it's his imaginary friend. It's just he's the only one that doesn't realize she's imaginary.
Yeah.
Well, from a scientific viewpoint, Aron, yes, you're right. She is imaginary. I don't think she physically exists. I focus more on the goddess than I do the God, by the way.
Okay. Well, the gender I don't. So okay. Let's take that because that's just fine. You don't think that they actually exist, and so why do you believe in something that you don't think
physically exist? I don't think that they.
Explain to me something that does not physically exist. Are you talking about a concept or an idea? Because I don't worship concepts or ideas. If you think that there's something
I don't worship concepts or ideas either. I don't worship my God.
Okay. Sorry, you're right.
I don't worship.
Okay, but it gives you spell power?
She helps.
How? And what is a spell?
A spell is okay. To be honest with you, I've been a practicing pagan for about 25 years now. And I've only cast one spell in all that time because it's not something that we do on a regular basis. It's not like we go to church and pray and do. I mean, that's prayer in Christianity is Christian spellcasting, whether they want to admit it or not.
Yeah, that can be correct. Yeah,
and it's not very good because it hasn't been able to pass the test between chance and anything else.
Believe it.
Well, no. Whether you believe in something doesn't come into play at all.
No, right? Whether you believe it only means whether it convinces you.
But if I believe something really, really hard, and then I say I really want Aron's hair to fall out, it doesn't matter how hard you're the first one.
Could you have chosen something else?
May your locks live on for 1,000 years, Aron. It doesn't matter how much I want it to be true. It's not going to happen because my wants don't reflect on the world that we live in together. It's not because a Christian doesn't believe enough that their prayer doesn't come true.
Actually, I don't think they believe that it works to begin with at all.
Right. And so how many spells have you tried?
One.
You've never tried another spell? ever?
Not really, no. Mm-mm.
Wow. I've known a lot of Wiccans, actually.
And the one that I did worked.
Really?
Yeah, it did.
One would wonder why you wouldn't do that again.
Okay, so let's talk about the spell that worked. Let's talk about the spell that worked. What happened?
Okay. A friend of mine contacted me, and obviously, I mean, I can sit here and I know exactly what you're going to say. You're going to say that it was coincidence that this happened. But
well, no. What I'm going to ask you is whether or not you recognize that it is more likely to be coincidental than something supernatural, because you can't, until you can show us supernatural, until you can prove, what it is and demonstrate a mechanism that shows that, something can be supernatural or not, then you really don't have any basis in claiming a supernatural cause for anything.
I have to voice something on this too. It's not that we have to prove that that didn't happen. If you care what the truth is, if you want to understand the way things really are, then the issue for you is can you find the truth in it? And if there is any falsity, you should expose that too. So the thing you should be doing, if you believe that spells can work, you should be running as many experiments as you possibly could, and you should be trying to falsify your own conviction. Does it work 100% of the time? Does it work in any kind of a reliable capacity? Are there factors that impose or enhance the ability to perform these spells? Because otherwise, if you're not running those experiments, you just did the one and coincidentally it happened to work out, then you believe in belief. And that just makes you happy, and you don't want to test it because you don't want it to fail, and that's where everybody else's religion is too.
Well, maybe. Dave?
Good point, Aron. I almost said Aron again. Well,
I mean, so here's the deal. There are plenty of groups who would shower money upon you. I don't think I don't think the $1 million challenge is still
James
available.
Randi took that off the table after 20 years. Yeah, he had offered $1 million reward to anyone who could show anything supernatural existing. That means that spells were included. That means including psionic abilities. Any of the mental powers or faith healing or any of these sorts of things. If you could demonstrate that under scientific conditions, the same way you would, if magic were real, if the supernatural were real, you would have people like Spock or Obi-Wan or Gandalf who would be able to demonstrate that. And then even if science can't explain it, because that's a big excuse, science can't explain it, but at least we can show there's a there. Mm-hmm. And maybe we can't explain it, but we got to admit that happened.
But until we can get to that point, then we have to say we don't know.
And if it's indistinguishable from the illusions of delusion, if it might be entirely imagined and there's no way that you can show that it's not entirely imagined, I'm going to have to go with it's entirely imagined.
So, Dave, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So, before you tell us the story of your spell, do you think that we'll be convinced by it?
Probably not.
So why are you convinced?
Because it worked.
Is that how you come to know something is true?
One time, if you have magic powers and it worked one time, why are you doing this 9 to 5 as your job? If I could work magic powers, I'd be the wizard on the block. I would corner that market.
Because that's not...
The thing we're advocating, Dave, is that you test it. That you don't just say, this is enough. You actually push forward and say, I want to know whether or not it's true.
I think he already knows why he doesn't test it. It's the same reason that the people go in to see the faith healer, and you can ask them, why doesn't the faith healer work in a hospital? They already know why the faith healer doesn't work in a hospital. They know it's a show.
Not always. I have met people who have entertained some serious conspiracies that the government is.
Oh, that's true.
And that big pharma. And all of that. But either way, those are all definitely things that you can track back to your epistemology. Dave, we challenge you to test it and keep in touch. We want to know. Do it again. Do it over again. Call us. I want to see. Let's set up some conditions. Let's test it.
You think maybe if we called in Obi-Wan Kenobi in here, if there was an Obi-Wan Kenobi, we could ask him, I mean, are you going to
float the gumballs?
Float the damn gumballs. I'll be impressed, right? You get the $1 million.
Yeah, just do it.
If you say you can do this, somebody will cough up $1 million if you can come here and float these gumballs.
Shit, I will run the Kickstarter myself. All right, we're getting what was the spell? People want to know.
Okay. Like I said, a friend of mine contacted me, and her mother was very ill. And she, her mother had been suffering for quite a long time, several months, I think it was. And she wanted me to do something for her mother. Mm-hmm. Something to end her suffering.
Did you kill a woman?
And not physically, no. But
who was dead when I got there? Sorry.
Dave, are you going to make us criminally liable? Did you pray for a woman to die?
No. Okay. I don't pray.
Whatever. Did you cast a spell to kill somebody?
No. I casted a spell to end suffering. That's what I did.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. Okay? This live on air, I want to say that if you can, using your spell, kill me, I want you to. I want you to try it as hard as you can.
Sorry, I won't do it.
Yeah, well, that's because it probably doesn't work.
And the reason why is because of what I believe
End my suffering, Dave.
You're not suffering. You're doing all right, Eric.
I want to introduce you to two ideas. One of them is a friend of mine in Finland whose name is Sanal Edamaraku, and he spent over 3 hours on Indian television with a tantric priest trying to use his magic to kill Sanal. Sanal's just standing there for 3 hours of live television as this magician cannot figure out why Sanal doesn't die, despite him lobbing all these spells at him. And then, if that's not good enough or it's not entertaining enough, a much shorter experience would be to look up the video by Tim Minchin called Thank You, God, that will perfectly relate to your experience, and it probably will illustrate what really happened.
Please don't accept that one.
It will also
experience.
absolve you of guilt.
Yeah, seriously, right? Don't accept that one experience as something that you're going to base your life around, because there's so much more. If you really care about what's true, then test it.
I do care about what's true.
Then test it.
Yep, because if you can't show that there's a truth to it, then there's no truth to it.
Call us. We'll help you test it. I will personally help you test it.
Do you think that it's true?
No, hold on. Will you test this spell?
Sure, I suppose.
Okay, will you get in touch with us so that we can work together and come up with the conditions that we'll both agree to that you can test a spell?
I suppose.
Okay, you can send us an email, mail@talkheathen.com. Send that in. We will follow up with you. I will follow up with you, and we're going to test whether or not that's true. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
I've challenged many witches to show me, do a spell, any kind of spell that we can actually test to see if it actually works. And I couldn't even get them to tell me. They would cast the spell, and I said, so what's supposed to happen? Yeah. You'll know when it happens. Okay, well, when is it supposed to have happened by?
Eventually.
You'll know. Yeah, so I'll never know.
But Dave is going to prove us wrong, and he's mine. Dibs. Dave, sound good?
Okay.
All right, take care, brother.
Bye.